Zach, my boy, the problem of pain.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Not just because it's Friday morning,
Not just.
but for other reasons as well. Welcome back to the trauma-focused hypnotherapy tripping off podcast. The two of us
Hey, babe.
on a Friday morning.
Hey.
I wrote something down on the internet, as one does. And on the internet, I said, because sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll have like a sentence or a quote or a thought in my head, and I'll just write it on threads. And so like Instagram threads, I don't know what Twitter and X is doing, so it just scares me, the whole thing. And so I write it down. Like Instagram threads is kind of like my personal notebook, like public notebook. So I don't provide any context, but I just put a thought down and maybe I'll reference it later in like a longer video.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And so like nobody really sees it, nobody like follows a lot on threads, but I'll just write things I'm chewing on. I don't really have a fully formed thought yet, but the quote that came to my mind literally yesterday was, "Progress is dangerous, but stagnation is suicide." And the email newsletter that's coming out this week will discuss the topic in more depth and detail, because I wrote out the full thoughts. But I think it really brings into focus the problem of pain.
Yeah.
And so I have a few clients that I've been kind of thinking about this whole thing with and discussing it. And, there's this problem of pain. There's this problem of, yes, progress is dangerous and difficult, but the other option is not choosable either.
Yeah.
And so, I think in line with Viktor Frankl, the idea that I come down to is pain is inevitable, but you can give meaning to your pain.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than meaningless pain. And I think that's the fight that we're engaged in our own minds and in the world, is things will be painful. But stagnation is not the option to choose either.
It's
I mean,
so much worse.
That's assured destruction.
Yeah.
Sure, going out there may be scary. It may not work, but staying inside is guaranteed to not work.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got this problem. There's wisdom and prudence to moving forward and making progress. You don't want to go too fast or too slow, but there's not the option to not. You must.
Yeah. Yeah. What came to my mind when you said it the first time was two metaphors. One was the scene at the end of the first John Wick movie. And I saw a little clip about how they actually did it. It's the one where he gets like shot and then he like falls off the building. It's like bam, 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 bam. And
He did that?
He actually did it. Like, I mean, it was padded, but he fell like 3 stories.
Damn.
Or 4 maybe, I don't know.
I do remember that scene.
And yeah, and they showed like a clip of it happening.
Like the behind the scenes clip?
Yeah. And I was
I gotta look that up.
God. It's that. And then, right when COVID was going on, there's another study that like, this isn't a comment about vaccines. This is a comment about the social awareness of vaccines. And what they did is they studied like the guilt that parents feel when it's something that they did to their kid, like intentionally, versus something that like happened that was bad. And what they found was that parents were like, I think it was 7 times more likely. No, parents were more willing to put their kids in danger by a factor of 7 than there be any chance of them causing their kids pain. And
no, that makes me think of a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, I can empathize with that too. It's like I kind of want my son to experience pain so that he can kind of work it out, and he can struggle through it and all of those things. But the thought of me having intentionally caused him pain is so much worse.
Yeah.
So much worse.
Yeah.
And I think that's metaphoric to like us and our psyches too. With that, is that's why so many people go stagnant, is because it's like I'm so much more okay with the preventable pain that could hit me than me doing something, again metaphorically, and then failing, and the pain of that. Like, I did this, I set myself out to do this, and I failed. Is so much worse than doing this thing that I know I'm not going. There's not a likelihood of me succeeding, but it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why we get so stagnant on some topics.
That one's come up a lot. I mean, I've been talking to some individuals just this week. It's like the new year starts and we get into the swing of things. Like, you know, I had somebody on the Dream Show just yesterday where this was a prevalent topic. You know, they had shout out to the Dream Show, like go watch it. It was with Michaela, and Michaela came on the Dream Show and she had this dream where there's this disembodied voice, female voice on like an intercom, that was like saying threatening things and like trying to control her and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, the secret is that all parts of the dream are you. And so how disconnected are you from the archetype or the character or the emotions inside of you that are related to control? And I had a huge conversation about the trauma in her past and all these things. And I was like, what if you saw that voice different as yours? And instead of like having this defensiveness towards control, you're like, they're trying to help. It's me. And I just keep not listening.
Yeah.
And so the thing that came up that's related to what we're discussing is, she would much rather do what everybody else says and fail than to do what she thinks is right and fail. Because then the blame can be displaced.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, that's what sounds like your dream is saying. Is that really how you live your life? And she had this moment where her eyes just got big and she looks down and she's like, yeah. I was like, that's the worst option, man.
Yeah.
Or others, I've got individuals I'm talking to where the relationship is not working out, and you can tell like they want to get divorced, but they're like, but my kid, my preteen says, don't get divorced. I'm like, that's not their place to do that. You can't. No, I was like, you can't substitute your wisdom and understanding as a grown person for the opinion of a 13-year-old. Like, that's like, and so I think I was kind of very direct in that session. I was like, that's unexcusable. I was like, the trauma that you're putting them through, the pain that you're putting them through by allowing them to make the decision instead of thinking hard and with gravity and grief, making the decision that's right, even though that decision is hard. For me, it's a duty thing. It's a responsibility thing. Like, I couldn't live with myself to not make the decision I know is right and to displace that responsibility onto someone else and watch other people get hurt.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep at night.
Well, and other jobs that we do too is what is brought up in my head is together. I don't know these numbers because they're always growing, but last time I counted in overall, like the amount of people that the two of us manage in what we do, especially in the private practice side of things, was last time I counted was 157 people. And
I think that's why I don't count.
Yeah.
Do we really manage 157 people?
In some way combined.
That's a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. And how many times do we get into something that one of us could say to that therapist, that business owner, hey, like, I really think this is the best thing for you. And my experience has shown that by far this is the best thing for you. But it's new to them. It's scary to them. And it seems like it's going to be painful, and it is.
Yeah, but in like this positive sort of way. It's like there's a big difference between going to the gym pain and getting hit by a truck.
But then why do everybody's New Year's resolutions fail?
Because they don't want to go to the gym.
And they'd rather get hit by a truck.
I think that's where the anger comes in for me.
Yeah.
And so the second quote I wrote that day, and maybe through your line of conversation, I'm arriving at this conclusion, because the second thing I wrote that day is I said, love is the ultimate form of rage.
Yeah. Explain that.
And so what I shared that with a client yesterday.
It's kind of like late 90s emo, early 2000s.
Have you met me? Look at this guy. What I meant by that is, like, if somebody spit on my motorcycle, I love my motorcycle.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's a pretty lame thing to do.
Yeah.
But if somebody spit on my wife, oh man,
we got to go.
Yeah, we got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go. And so I think that's what I mean. I think a lot of people have this, and maybe they go hand in hand. This is not scripted, but maybe they go hand in hand of, like, if there's going to be pain, there has to be anger. And I think a lot of individuals struggle to connect with a positive form of anger. Because when you really love something, you'll press into that pain. And I think the motivation, at least for me, to press into the pain is, I want to be angry enough about the situation that's present or the impending danger to fight it. And so there's a difference between pain and being hurt or abused or tortured, and the pain of fighting.
No, I think the missing ingredient, or the different ingredient in there, is also love. Like you said, is like, it doesn't hurt when it's not important.
Yeah.
Going to the opposite side of that spectrum, it's just like, there's plenty of really terrible things that, if I'm honest with myself, they don't bother me that much. But then there's not so terrible things that really do bother me and cause rage. And going back to, like, people doing what's best for them versus letting something happen to them, is like, maybe again I'm adding to this and it needs to be worked out, but it feels like sometimes we don't love ourselves. Or we do, but we won't let ourselves feel that. And so we get mad and scared about these things because we can't allow ourselves to embody that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what came up in the dream interpretation show that I recorded yesterday. Was this individual Michaela struggled with control in her life because she doesn't like control in her life. And so the authority figures that have hurt her, she is now in a place, just got a promotion, she's manager at her job, and like really exciting stuff, but now she's the authority figure. And so she's struggling with this authority and to embody that authority well, because she sees herself as the enemy. Now I am the authority that I rebelled against, that I rose up against, anarchy. And so that's huge, especially in the work that I do with trauma. There has to be a phase, and I tell people this all the time, that there has to be a phase of violence until I can see myself as the aggressor. I can't heal from being the victim. And so you have to reclaim that part of the character.
Where do you think the balance is between there, like the easy metaphor is like the rebellious, I don't know, military that takes over and kicks the dictator out of the top seat in the country, and then becomes a dictator. Where's the line between that and saying, like, no, like, this is innately violent?
Yeah.
And
I think being alive is innately violent.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm saying. But where's the line between the uprising that then becomes the dictator they fought against, and
Yeah, like, so I mean, for this friend of yours, like, she does need to realize that she is a part of that system, and she doesn't have to be. And the flip side is, where's that line? Is like, where's the line to where she says, like, yes, and I'm not going to be like them,
Mm-hmm.
but this is innately violent, and I need to be a part of this system. What do you think?
I think it's core to everything we teach in hypnotherapy. It's the motivation between fear and love.
Mm,
If you're motivated by fear, you'll become the enemy you swore to protect. If you're motivated by love, you won't.
I mean, that goes back to your example of motorcycle versus your wife.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the parallel here is what we teach in hypnosis all the time of you can't motivate or encourage someone away from a thing, but you can encourage them towards a thing.
Yeah.
And so did the uprising found itself upon moving away from the dictator?
Yeah.
Or did it found itself upon I love my fellow man so much that there must be a better way to care for him? That's different. And so it's the same thing. Like, are you here to get rid of your anxiety, or are you here because you want to be something?
I think the brain's really tricky with that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's one of the most difficult, just personally, struggles that I've had. Is, on one hand, my brain can trick me into thinking, like, no, I really do love this thing. No, I don't. I'm running away from that other thing. I'm I'm trying to overthrow the dictator. I'm not. I don't really care about my fellow man. How do you get a?
I was gonna say, I don't know if I experienced that. Could you tell me more? Like, sometimes you'll think you love a thing, but really it's fear disguised as love.
Yeah,
That's tricky.
I use this. Yeah, I think it's really tricky. I use this, the anchor, the hypnotic anchor that I use with clients and friends is: are you running away from something, or are you running to something? To kind of describe that dilemma.
I'm really reflecting on this. I don't know if I can relate. Yeah, I'm just sitting in silence for a minute. Of I don't think I do experience it that way. I think there have been times where what I love is confused, but I've never seen it that way. Where, like, sometimes the thing I'm going through is so painful and so bad that I don't know what being healthy or love looks like.
Sure.
But I think I conceptualize it as a necessary step along the way to figuring out what I love.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, going back to the dictator metaphor, is it's like, I think that the person that overthrows the government does have a genuine love for something. It's just misguided.
Yeah.
If he becomes the dictator.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said dick 3 times.
Nice. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't know.
but your comment about it, does that person, like, the difference in the outcome is, does that person genuinely love mankind, his culture, his people, or is it something else? Is it just that he doesn't like the current dictator? Because if it's just that he doesn't like the current dictator, he probably will become a new dictator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And think about parts working.
For sure. I think this is where, my philosophy brain takes it. And I talk about this with clients a lot too, of I think you can construct oh my God, I can hear it coming out of my mouth, and this is a miserable Jesse way to say it. I can conceptualize an agnostic theory of ethics. Was that not the most homeschooled shit you ever heard of? I think you can figure out right and wrong without having to appeal to some guidebook by some founding principles.
Yes.
And I think the founding principle is that people are driven to power, not in a
Yes.
negative way. We've got a terrible association with the word power in our culture.
Yes.
But I could reframe the word of power as highest self or self-actualization. A self-actualized person, to borrow from counseling terminology, is the most powerful version of themselves that they could become. That's what I mean. Not like oppressive dictatorial power. Also said dick. That's what I mean. And so the way that I kind of define like right and wrong without an appeal to something else or another person's opinion is to say we should be the most powerful versions of ourselves. And the very clear line is when I am increasing my power by taking it away from somebody else, it's wrong. When I am increasing my power by going through the painful and deliberate process of growth, I should never apologize.
And you think that the line between those two goes back to love?
Well, I think when you love yourself and when you love others, you strive to be the best version of yourself.
Mm.
When you do not love others and you just want to be safe and have more power, you'll steal it from others.
Yeah.
That's the difference, I believe, very strongly.
And I'll go back to the first quote. Is, I think actually stagnation. What was the quote again? Stagnation is suicide.
Yeah, stagnation is suicide.
That is stagnation is a overwhelming example of not loving.
Yeah. It's every Disney movie ever.
Yeah.
The 15, 16-year-old girl's like, but daddy, we must do it different. It's Moana. That's Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Anna and Elsa. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all of them. It's all of it. Well, it's it's a very winsome story. It's the story of humankind, you know. But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I think another way, and you're really great with this stuff, is helping counselors grow. Like I see this with counseling students and interns and even fully licensed counselors when they're in the session with a client and they're afraid to go where they need to go because it'll be painful for the client. I can't tell you how many times I have talked with an intern and they're like, well, it was the first or second session, so I didn't want to push there yet. What? We'll do it with love, but if you see something that's there,
Yeah.
are they not in your office to have your opinion and your insight on that thing? I feel like it is self-protection and stealing the power from the client to withhold information that is apparent to you.
It's not very loving.
It's not very loving.
Yeah, I have a reputation for everybody for saying big things.
Yeah.
Just crazy things, and people are always very interested about how I get away with saying these very flamboyant, off the wall things. And I think it's that. I think it's I genuinely care for the person that I'm talking to, and if they feel that, and it's right and it's authentic, like whatever the big thing is, it sounds big out of context, but it's right on in that moment. And it I think that it feels very loving.
Yeah. What do you tell counselors and interns when they have that, like, well, maybe even more general, like, do you notice that fear and how do you see that fear in counselors inside the therapy room? Just that hesitation.
You just saw it last night. We went out to dinner.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What comes to your mind?
I had a rough day yesterday. Rough.
Yeah.
Lots of really bad personal news.
Yeah.
Really bad. And there's a point when we were having dinner where I was like, I need to go. And both you and Joy were like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, well, we still have some time that we have to spend before we can go home, so the little guy gets to bed.
Yeah.
But I think Joy even was just like, I love that.
It was great.
I just hit a wall, and I was like, I need to go.
Yeah, you're like, it's time for bed.
Yeah,
that was great.
But it's like that. It's like, I think in so many other contexts when there isn't love and trust and authenticity, I'm sure both of you could see it on my face that it wasn't just something that I was saying because I was trying to hide something else. It was like, I need to go.
You look tired. Exactly. Yeah.
But it's that authenticity, and yeah, that's just
how does that show up for counselors in the room? What do you observe, like when you're supervising?
I think it comes down to curiosity. We talk about this a lot.
Mm.
I think that a lot of young therapists get lost in what they should be saying as a pre-prescribed textbook answer, instead of showing genuine curiosity and care for the person in front of them. I think that's the foundation.
That's a really great way to put it. Yeah.
The deepest of it, but that looks like a lot of different things. Like,
yeah. I don't know if I saw it quite that way, but I couldn't think of a better way to put it. I think the reason that happens, and what I see the most, I mean, it could be many, but the one I see the most is I want to do the right thing.
Yes.
I want to be successful. Yes. And it's not, see, I also want them to be successful, but there's a difference in the foundation. And that's why I talk about philosophy stuff so much, because you can say the right thing, but do it the wrong way.
And it's so
I
wrong.
want to be a good counselor. I want to do the right thing. But do you want to do the right thing because you're afraid of the shame and guilt of making a mistake? Or do you want to do the right thing because you love your fellow human beings so much that you want the best for them? And so I tell that to people all the time, and I make it a staple of my dream interpretation stuff of like, I'm going to put something out there, and your job, client, is to tell me I'm wrong. Nothing would make me happier. Yeah. I would love to have made a mistake in my interpretation, because the more that I can make a mistake, one, and demonstrate the mistakes are not that scary, and they're actually a way to bond closer in relationship with somebody. But then two, you know, like when you're trying to choose a restaurant, and you're like, well, do we want Mexican or Chinese? And then your partner says like, I'm feeling Chinese. And you're like, you know, the fact that you said that really solidifies, I do not want Chinese. I really wanted Mexican the whole time, but I just didn't know it. And so I do that with my dream interpretation all the time. I'll say, sometimes I'll do it wrong. You know, I'll be like, well, maybe it's this. And they're like, no. You're like, good. Now we know it's not that. Thomas says in the light bulb.
Going back to it, it's like progress is, what's it called?
Oh, yeah.
I forgot it like 6 times.
I don't know why. It's just progress is dangerous.
It is dangerous, because if I say I gotta go, if I say I might be wrong, if I say I disagree with you, we've been so acculturated to believe that that is something that should get in the way of the relationship and the connection, which I don't think that it has to be. It's dangerous because it could. What happens if, I forgot what the first food that you said was.
What? Chinese and Mexican. Yeah.
Chinese. What if like my partner really does want Chinese, and I now found out that I really do not like Chinese? We're gonna get in a fight. We're gonna get a fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, we always go to the place you want to go.
Sure.
Yeah. Damn it.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
But it's suicide to. It is suicide to the relationship if you never voice those opinions.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be a slow death.
Now, for those on the other side of the equation, you know, I think we're speaking to a very common and typical type of counselor, but there's also the other. There's the other who will share honesty and opinion more than is loving.
Oh, sure.
And we might have gotten locked into a trance of thinking about one particular type of therapist. But
absolutely.
I think in our last minute or two, we should mention that of like, now just because you hear us saying this doesn't mean that the opposite is true. It's a balance, and it's a fine line. But you'll see many people are like, well, you know, I was told by my therapist I should be my authentic self. And it's like, well, okay, yes, but your authentic self is not to be a raging dick.
Yeah, it's not that.
That's not your authentic self. And I would argue is still motivated by fear.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's, I'm afraid of losing myself in this relationship. So I'm going to be so big and grandiose and obnoxious, because at the bottom of it is a fear of, who am I? Will I lose my identity? Is my character fragile?
And a lot of times what I hear when somebody says something along those lines, like, oh, my therapist said I should be my authentic self. This is what's authentic. It's not actually authentic. It's a defense mechanism. And so now you've over-identified with a defense mechanism to protect you because of the fear.
That's an even, yes.
Yeah. And
that's an even deeper way.
That, like, wow, you just weaponized your therapist to be a shithead.
So many of my clients do that. I'll tell them, I'll be like, I'll preface things. I'll be like, now what you're not allowed to do is to go home and tell your partner that my therapist said you're a narcissist, because that is not what I'm saying, even in the slightest. But what I want you to hear is some patterns in your relationship that are your responsibility to address. Not your responsibility to fix your partner, but your responsibility to address.
How many times has a client or an intern or somebody that works for you come back and said, I said that thing that you told me to say, and then you go, shit. What did I say? And then they say, well, you said my partner's a shithead. And it's like, no, I didn't say that.
That wasn't it. I know that's what you heard. Oh man, I think that's all I got to say about that.
I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it's some good comments and conversations.
Lead with love.
Man,
Genuine
with
curiosity.
that, lead with love. Leave some comments, subscribe to the newsletter. There's a deeper dive in kind of this topic that I wrote about this week, and I hope you receive that. And I hope that it's a benefit to you. With love, Zach and Jess.
Bye.
Bye.